Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel. We are going to Latin America today, more precisely Mexico and Nicaragua, to try a cake called Tres Leches. Tres Leches literally means three milk. But why three? Well, one story goes that the cake was invented in Nicaragua about a century ago as a way to use dairy products imported from the US, namely evaporated, powdered, and condensed milk. In reality, Mexico seems to have stronger claims to be the birthplace of this cake, but wherever the cake was invented, one thing is for sure, nowadays it's popular throughout all of Latin America. And yeah, all you need for this cake is milk. 3 different kinds, of course, although these days powdered milk is replaced by fresh milk. Well, let's make it happen. First, the cake tin. I cut out a sheet of parchment paper to place on the bottom. It's a way to make the bottom tray easier to remove. I also lightly grease the sides with some butter, so the cake won't stick to them either. The base of Tres Leches is a sponge cake. I'm going to use 6 eggs, but I will separate the yolks so I can whisk the whites separately for an even fluffier result. After I've preheated the oven at 170 degrees Celsius, I combine the yolks with 150 grams of sugar. Then I add 120 milliliters of fresh milk, and I whisk it all together. At this point, I sift 200 grams of flour into the batter. You can use all-purpose flour or cake flour, but I have to use gluten-free, though it's okay because gluten doesn't play much of a role in a sponge cake. I also add 10 grams of baking powder. I've washed the blades, so now I will whisk the egg whites too. Time to add them to the batter, but I will start with a small amount, about a quarter of it, and I will fold it in with a spatula. This will make the batter lighter and easier to incorporate with the rest of the egg whites. I add in another half, and I fold it in again. This needs to be done gently so as not to let out the air that are trapped in the egg whites by whisking them. And in goes the last part of the egg whites. Light and airy as I wanted it. Now I can pour the batter into the cake tin, and I will bake it for 40 minutes. And here it is, 40 minutes later. But remember to test the cake with a toothpick before you take it out of the oven. If it comes out dry, it's done. While I wait for the cake to cool down, I use a bowl to combine 300 grams of evaporated milk, 300 grams of condensed milk, and 300 milliliters of milk. Yes, these are the Tres Leches. Now I can take the cake out of the tin and transfer it onto a tray. I lay 2 sheets of cling film on its bottom, and then I flip it and place it back into the cake tin. I want to make sure that the film covers the edges as it has to hold the liquid mix I just prepared. And I also want to make sure that the cake absorbs the milk evenly, so I pierce it with a fork all over. Let's pour the mixture in with a ladle. Wait for it to soak in, then pour more, a bit at a time. Does it look messy? Don't worry, it will have time to take it all in, as I will keep it in the fridge for 10 hours. And here it is, 10 hours later. I can take it out of the tin again, flip it to remove the cling film, and then flip it again to lay it on a tray. All that's left to do now is to whip 300 milliliters of cream to decorate the cake. I will add 50 grams of icing sugar to it, a bit at a time, and about a teaspoon of vanilla extract. I'm also adding a teaspoon of corn flour to make the whipped cream stiffer, but this is totally optional, of course. And this is where you can see that I'm no pastry chef, or any chef at all for that matter. For the final touch, I dust some cinnamon powder on top, but some recipes use cocoa powder or glacé cherries instead, so feel free to pick whatever you prefer. Well, now I understand why this is one of Latin America's favorite cakes. It's so moist and light, it melts in your mouth. And yes, it's all about that condensed, evaporated milk flavor, and not overly sweet, at least the way I made it. The only problem is one slice disappears so fast without even realizing it, and you already want to cut yourself another one. Well, if you mix it through the day, you can store it in the fridge. Did you guys know this cake? And if not, will you give it a try? I truly hope you do. Let me know in the comments. And if you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. So, where are we going next?